Today is episode 132, Clarence Sports Talkative Jones, episode 132, presented by Player Progression Goals, www.playprogressgo.com. Guest is on with us today, Coach Brian Smith, football coach. Brian Smith is on with us today as a guest. We're going to learn about Coach Brian Smith and, learn about everything, his football journey, his football story. And, just excited to have Coach on. Coach, how you doing?
Doing great. I appreciate y'all having me on.
Thanks, man. Thanks for making time for me and my audience. I really appreciate it. Let's dive right into the interview. The game of football. Did you play it? And if you did play it, tell us about, your playing days and, how it all started, from start to end, from, high school on, or if you want to throw some pop one in there, some junior high,
Sure.
all the way to college. Tell us about your journey as far as your playing days.
I played football as long as I've basically been alive. I know my aunt, who was a very good athlete, used to say, even when I was first walking, I would try to tackle her. And so she knew I was always going to be a football player. I did play pup one. I'm from Massachusetts originally, grew up in Lynn, Massachusetts, right outside of Boston, and played there, was lucky enough to be elected into my Hall of Fame at Lynn Classical High School in Lynn, Massachusetts. And from there, went on to Fork Union Military Academy, played there for a year, and then off to the Citadel, where I played for 4 years. And then had a brief stint with the Arena League, played for the Charleston Swamp Foxes and then the Rochester Bulls. And after that, got straight into coaching. So, it's been, this will be my 24th year in coaching. And I've had stops at my alma mater in college, the Citadel. I was there for 3 years as an assistant coach. Then I left there to go help one of my former coaches, Clayton Kendrick Holmes, is the chief of staff at West Point now. He hired me to be an associate AD football coach at SUNY Maritime in the Bronx and helped start that program. And I stayed there a very short time and then made my way back to South Carolina, where one of my buddies took a head coaching job in Manning, and another Citadel grad. And I came back to Manning, coached at Lawrence Manning Academy and Manning High School. And then from there, went on to be the head coach at C. Murray High School. And after that, had a brief stint at Blythewood High School and a brief stint at Scotts Branch High School. And then back to C.E. Murray. And then we merged with Kingstree. And, that's where I am today, even though I'll be leaving there shortly.
All right, Coach. So let's backpedal like Deion Sanders did back in the days as cornerback. So back to your playing days. Tell us about your experience, your grind, your journey, as far as being a part of that Arena League, being a part of Citadel, your time in Massachusetts. Like, tell us, like, what was the grind like? With your teammates. The position you played.
Yep.
Just let us know.
Well, growing up, I was always a tight end for the most part, defensive end. Couple Pup Warner days, I played quarterback for a little bit, and then when I got to high school, I played tight end, linebacker, and defensive end, and wide receiver, and a little bit of running back as well. I was always very athletic and very fast and strong as it was. So had a great high school career, and like I said, ended up going to Fork Union Military Academy. I blew out all my ligaments my senior year in high school. Had total reconstructive knee surgery, and overcame that, and ended up, like I said, at Fork Union. Had a great time at Fork Union. I was fortunate, played with a lot of great players at Fork Union, including my roommate, who was Plaxico Barres at the time. But that team was loaded with, we probably had 25 guys signed Division I scholarships from that team.
You said Plaxico Barres, Coach?
My eyes, too. I'm coming from Massachusetts, where I was one of like 6 guys, 3 on my team and 3 on another team that, could play Division I football. And then you go to a team that has 26 on one team. That opens your eyes to, man, it's a big world out there that we don't always get to see. As we had guys go everywhere from that Fork Union team, even Carolina Gamecocks. I see you're representing their hat. Shannon Wadley, played linebacker there. Adam Holmes was a long snapper there, and they were both
Nice.
on my same Fork Union team. But we had guys play at Wake Forest, Ohio State. A guy here from Manning, South Carolina, Henry Fleming, played left tackle at Ohio State. And we had so many different guys that were on that team that, like I said, went on to play Division I football. And same thing, you step up. Everyone talks about that step up into college. Even though I was a year older than a high school kid, you still see the difference between college play and prep school or high school play. And I went down to Charleston, the Citadel, and again, team was loaded when I first got there for sure. We had Adrian Luster, a guy who played for the Cincinnati Bengals. Derry Myricks played for the Jacksonville Jaguars. A couple other guys that had tryouts, and Justin Skinner, a kicker that played for a couple of NFL teams, had tryouts. So you saw that step up and play again, and it makes you realize you got to step up every time you're going up a level. And here I was always good at football, even in Pop Warner all the way up, but each time there was always a moment of period where you started to doubt yourself, and you're like, all right, I better step it up. If I don't step it up, I'm not going to play. And, I think a lot of kids these days, they need that talk that, it's okay to have a little bit of a doubt, but at the same time, you got to realize when it's time to go, it's time to go. You got to step it up and listen to your coaches and take criticism from your coaches in order to make that step up.
Amen. Now you mentioned
no different going to the Arena League. Arena League was something totally different. I wasn't used to any of their rules. Playing Arena League football, and I was, what people don't realize that the Arena League when it was played in year of 2001 and 2002, and back then only one guy on your team was what they called the specialist, where he only played one way. Everybody else on the team had to play both ways, and we were all coming from college where we only played one way. And I played fullback and linebacker for the Arena League, and that was again another step up in competition, another step up in play. Several guys that I played with and against were guys that were coming down from getting cut by NFL teams and trying to make their way back up. And I'll never forget, after I left Charleston, I went to Rochester, and they had a tryout. And it was in a hockey arena where they tried where they played and tried out at in Rochester, New York. And it was crazy. Like, they would put you in a bowl in a ring and just test how tough you were that first night to see, whether or not they were going to keep you on the team. And, luckily I was tough enough. I took all the hits and gave a few out, but that was interesting. You think professional football would, kind of be beyond that, but back then, they still did that, try to test your toughness, and then learning a whole new playbook, all the different motions and things the Arena League does is pretty interesting. And the fact on defense, you have to raise your hand if you're blitzing. So you're telling the offense when you're blitzing in the Arena League. That was different as well. So you really had to be a guy, or a dude, as some people say, in order to sack the quarterback in the Arena League, because the guy already knows you're coming. You got to run through him. There's no other way around it. That was and obviously they did that to score a lot of points. So it was definitely, an interesting time period to grow up in. Like I said, I graduated college in 2000, and then went straight into Arena League and then straight into coaching.
Yeah. Now you had mentioned earlier, I think when you was mentioning your teammates, it's like you said Plaxico Barras, or was it Plaxico? Was it the Plaxico Barras?
Was my roommate and teammate at Fork Union Military Academy. Played for the Giants, won a Super Bowl.
Wow.
Probably the best athlete I've ever seen in my entire life. And I've coached Shrine Bowls, I've coached North-South games, I've been at Nike combine camps and seen some
Yeah.
amazing guys play, but Plex was on a whole nother level than anybody I've ever seen, from the fact that people don't realize he was a 3-sport All-American.
Mm-hmm.
He was parade All-American in basketball. He was the 300-meter hurdle champion, national champion in track. And as we know, football, he was an All-American as well in high school, played at Green Run in Virginia Beach. So I still have yet to see anybody with that size, that speed, that athleticism, the strength of Plexico Barres, where you knew, this guy was going to be a first-round NFL draft pick.
Yeah. Now you already mentioned a few of your coaching, steps as far as you getting to where you at now, as far as your opportunities, building your resume. But speak more on it, as far as like, did anything led you to coaching? Like anything inspire you or something that motivates you to say,
so
like I
I
want to
had
do
a
this?
very good high school coach, 2 of them actually, my O-line coach and my head coach. Head coach was David Dempsey, and he was the coach at our high school for 15 years. Had a great career, still helps out coaching to this day, but he was a guy that truly cared for we were inner city kids. Most of us were from projects like myself. I was from a housing project, the Marion Gardens there in Lynn, Mass. And tough place to coach, tough place to be at. And he treated us like family and really made sure that he did everything in his power to help us get to the next level. He was the guy that would take you in his car and drive you to Penn State, which was, 15 hours away, drive you to Michigan, drive you to Syracuse, all these different places. And, we owe him a tremendous amount. And that was the inspiration. Our O-line coach, Matt Durgan, was another guy. Actually, when I was going to the Arena League and all that, he was like, yeah, you need to do that, get it out your system, but you need to come back and coach with me. And he ended up being our head coach at Classical, and that's where I started my coaching career, was at Lynn Classical High School as an assistant under Coach Matt Durgan. And he was a guy who played offensive line at University of Rhode Island. He, like I said, was now the head coach. He spent his time as an offensive line coach for, 6 years, and then worked his way up to being the head coach. And he really inspired me to this is you. You need to do this. This is what you're meant for, is to coach. So those 2 guys were influential. And then I was lucky, while I was at Fork Union Military Academy too, to play under John Schumann, who's a legend in coaching all across the country. He's still at Fork Union to this day. He's not the head coach anymore, but he does recruiting stuff for him. But he spent over 40 years at Fork Union as a head coach and put over 300 guys into Division I, 3 Heisman Trophy winners, from Eddie George to Vinny Testaverde to forgot the last name, but there were 3 Heisman Trophy winners he coached while he was there. And he was a big influence on me as well, of this is how you need to do it. This is, how you should coach. And I can't thank any of those guys enough, because that's why I'm here and into coaching, because I had great role models.
Nice, man. That's a blessing. Hey, Coach, I see on your resume, you have the HSSR Coach of the Year Award in 2015. Tell us about that year and what it took to get that award. I mean, I'm pretty sure when you started, coaching that year, like you wasn't looking at the award, you were just doing your job. But like, talk to us about that year and like what led to you getting the award.
Right. Well, that was a magical year we had at C. Murray. C. Murray was a school who only had 2 winning seasons prior to that year. And that was our 3rd year in the program. We had built it up. We expected to have a good season. We didn't know how good we were going to be. And things fell right for us, where the guys, like I said, bought in completely. They did everything we asked of them. They were such a special group of kids, a bunch of leaders. And we ended up going 12-2, state championship, lost to Lamar in the state championship game. But heck of a ride, magical season, best season in that school's history. and that it was magical. And then you top it off with a statewide Coach of the Year award, and that means a lot because the coaches and everybody. I also got the 1A Lower State Coach of the Year award that year in the Florence Morning News and all that, and it meant a lot because it meant that a lot of people recognized your hard work and the fact that you did it at a place that most guys wouldn't even coach at. They wouldn't go there. They would think you can't win there. And for you to be able to do that and be recognized that, yeah, he did it, and he did it at a place that most people wouldn't even take the job at.
So, Coach, real quick, when you say that most coaches wouldn't go there or wouldn't want to think they can win there, why would be that reason why they have that self-doubt?
Resources, a lot of guys take jobs, mainly at the places where have the most resources, most talent. And, at a small country school where you only have 300 residents in the town, more than likely you're not going to be the most talented team on the field each week. You're going to be behind those other places that have a lot more kids to choose from. And resources, like I said, is another major part where you're going to be way behind in coaching staff. You're going to be way behind in, a weight room or anything like that. Like, we didn't even have really a weight room at C.D. Murray my whole time there. We have a little tiny 4x4 room that had 2 benches and 2 squat racks.
Got it, man. So yeah, you guys are really on that grind and that journey to keep that strive going. So let's go to a school where I pretty much started my high school at from 2005 to 2007, Kingstree Senior High School. I was a student there from 05 to 07. Didn't graduate from there, but I was a student from there for my ninth grade year, 10th grade, and 11th grade year. And like I said, over the past few years, Coach, man, I've heard a lot of great things about you and what you did for the program at Kingstree Senior High School. So I want to congratulate you on that because I heard nothing but great things from people I'm calling family, I'm calling friends, everybody I'm talking to on social media. Everybody is saying, yo, Coach Smith is a great coach, a great man, great leader. So keep up the great work on whatever you may decide to do with your career. I know you're going to do great things. But let's talk about your time at Kingstree Senior High School. What were the seasons like, the challenges, that you faced from, several teams you had, your coaching staff? What were the camps like, the practices, the scrimmages, the regular season, state playoffs? Like throughout your years there, what was it like?
Yeah. Well, we've been there 3 years now as a merged school, and we do have a weight room now. That's a plus, where you got a brand new weight room, and even though they, they built it on the wrong side. I was against where they built it. It should have been built right there at the football field, which makes sense. But anyways, they built it. It's still brand new. It has everything you need as far as a weight room goes, which was great. That was one thing that did get done. We still lacked, and we don't have a track. We don't, I'm still the only guy that does the field where I line the field and do all that. We don't have turf fields like everybody else has. But with all that being said, you again going to a place that hasn't had a ton of success, except for the Reggie Kennedy years, and then way back before that, like before segregation, they had some success, and then but you're trying to merge that culture with a culture you already had, and again, you're lacking coaching staff. You can't hire a bunch of people. All that factors in, especially nowadays where the teams we're playing have changed so much. A lot of teams moved down from 3A that got pushed down when they pushed all the privates and charters up. A lot of teams got pushed down into 2A. And then a lot of the traditional country schools we were playing that were similar to us got pushed down, to 1A even. So we're in that 2A region that's really competitive. Past the first 2 years we were in there with Andrews, and Andrews was kind of the big dog of our league the first 2 years, and then this year we're in there with Manning, Lake City, Marion, Mullins, not Oceanside, Atlantic Collegiate, and but we built each year, again, trying to get a little bit better each year where we would know, yep, all right, we're going to make our run now. And last year we were really close. We're one touchdown away from winning the region. That's, a lot of people, I purposely schedule pre-region games to be extremely hard. We played Crestwood. We played George. We play a lot of teams that were up a level. So we're ready for region play and ready for the playoffs when we get to the playoffs. We played Timberland, who was, one of the better teams in 2A as well in pre-region. So, like I said, we were one touchdown away from winning the whole region. If we stopped Manning on a miraculous 4th and 15 with, 2 minutes to go in that game, the game's over. We win the game. And, me and Coach Kennedy were joking about it. We were on the Shrine Bowl staff together. And he's like, man, y'all had us. He said, I thought for sure we were going out of there with a loss. And, it just didn't pan out. We just didn't have that closing game experience that you need in those big games to close it out in the end. And it was, that was the same thing that kind of happened to us in our second round playoff game against Philip Simmons. Philip Simmons was coming off a huge playoff run the year before. They're loaded, they got every resource in the world. And heck, we took a 28-14 halftime lead on them. And felt pretty good about ourselves and know we messed up some things. We knew they were onside kicking the second half, told our guys they're onside kicking. They still get the onside kick because, again, they're just more experienced, and our guys kind of just froze up in that moment. And, that's just not being there enough and not, being experienced enough in those big games to handle that. Because we followed that up with an immediate fumble on the next offensive series, and Philip Simmons, instead of being down, is now up on us. And then, it was an uphill battle after that. Once Philip Simmons, they were at home, they got their home crowd back in it. We just kind of fell apart and couldn't pull off that upset and upset them. But overall, I thought, we made great progress in getting to that level where you're competing with championship teams. Like I said, we barely lost to Manning. It was leading versus Philip Simmons at the half. We had a lot of close games this year. Even the first game of the year, we lost 7-6 to 14-13 to Georgetown. And could have pulled that one out and lost the game to East Clarendon in the region, where we didn't have our starting quarterback that game. He got suspended, which he should have. He did something stupid. And, that hurt us losing that game as well. That put us, placing third in the region when it was all said and done. And, probably, looking back on it, like I said, all we had to do was tip that pass down or sack the quarterback against Manning, and we win the region. And, that was heartbreaking to say the least. We were close, but the main thing is making sure the guys know that you're there for them and making sure they know that your sole focus is to help them achieve their dreams. And, that's how I've always been wired. Like I said, that's how I learned how to coach, was from those guys that did the same thing. It's not, wins and losses thing. It's more of how can I help you achieve your dreams? And when we do that, we'll win. If I get a majority of the guys to buy in that they're going to achieve their dreams, they're going to go out on that field and play extremely hard for you, and you're going to win a majority of your games. And I felt we were close to that. And then, obviously things happened at the end of the season that, led to our leaving the program, basically.